Hey, everybody, this is Scott with the Batman Universe podcast, and today we have a special guest with us. I have with me Will Lorenz, better known, or at least how I know him as, Buffalo's best Batman. Um, I found him on the internet. You were DC Comics responded to you, and I saw that you did a lot of charity work and you have a lot of cool costumes and were Batman costumes, and I was really intrigued and really interested to find out, more about, what you've been doing and how you're proactive in the community and, what you do with your cosplay. So welcome, Will.
Thank you for having me, Scott.
Um, how are you today? We'll start off there. Easy question.
Doing well. It's about 8 o'clock here on the East Coast. I'm still at my office in my non-Batman life, but I decided to late tonight for the interview.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that's I know that one. We're always moonlighting as Bat fans in the evening. Um, So to start things off, how did you get started? Because you've been doing this for a while.
Yes, it's been over 8 years now, and I really started with cosplay as a martial artist. I enjoyed putting on little skits and live fight scenes for my karate students out in Elma here in New York. So I already had a bat suit at that time. This was back 2011. And then we cut to 2014. I was invited to take part in a little cosplay charity event at a roller skating rink. And I used the same bat suit from my 2011 karate demo. That led to me hearing about a contest in Buffalo run by the Erie County Public Library looking for Buffalo's best Batman. This was for the 75th anniversary of Batman, if I recall correctly. So my old college professor sent me the invite about it and said, "This is a no-brainer. You would win. I've seen your costume." I entered the contest and I won. So I had that title of Buffalo's best Batman bestowed on me at that point. And at
Nice.
that point, other businesses, charities, they liked the idea of being able to promote Buffalo's best Batman at their event. And that started to draw some attention. People would show up at these different places, and it just snowballed from there.
Nice. And your first suit, the one that you got started with, that was the Keaton one, right? Or was it a different one?
It was a version of the Keaton one. In truth, the chest plate was paintball armor.
Mm,
So I always like that line in The Dark Knight, how he says he's not wearing hockey pads. I could say, no, I'm not either. It's paintball armor. But it was, I call it the homemade suit because it was designed really to be able to perform in it, and be able to do a fight scene. We've all heard the stories about the trouble the actors have had
yeah.
and the stuntmen in those bat suits. So I wanted one that I could perform in, and maybe it wasn't up to snuff as far as movie quality, but I could move around, and the people at that time that had the replica suits, they couldn't turn their head. So I've kind of
That,
come full circle with that because now I do wear the movie replica suits.
so that initial one you made yourself, or
Right, I cobbled it together from different pieces. Like I said, the
Mhm.
chest piece is paintball armor, which I had a bat logo stitched on. My first cowl is actually the Batman Begins cowl. And then we have some just replica gloves. The pants would either be Dockers, believe it or not, or
Huh,
karate gi pants so that I could kick in them.
nice. And then, now you said you have like the movie replicas, and I've seen your suits for Ben Affleck Batman, obviously the Michael Keaton one, and then the Batman, the newest one, and they all look really pristine and they're really good. So,
Thank you.
and those, did you um purchase those online, or did you make some of them, or
No, the suits themselves were purchased online. The Affleck Justice League suit and the Keaton Return suit were both purchased from other cosplayers who were moving on from those characters, and they happened to have
huh,
similar dimensions to me, so they were selling complete sets. So I lucked out that I found them on.
nice. I didn't realize that was a thing either, but I guess that makes sense too. Keep a rotation and keep it fresh. Um, and so the contest, when you won the title, Buffalo's Best Batman, what did that come with? Like, were there like what kind of duties, did that come with?
There were no real duties associated with it.
Mhm.
I'm well aware that it was more of a gag contest to find,
Mhm.
who was Buffalo's best Batman. Certainly the library didn't have any authority to give that title. It's more that I chose to run with it. I
Mhm.
took it maybe more seriously than I should have at the time, but
Mhm.
I stuck with it and it's become my true alter ego here in Buffalo.
That's awesome. So people, do they know you like in your around town or like as, both, I guess, sides of the character in suit and not a suit?
Absolutely. I didn't expect that to happen
Mhm.
8 years ago, but
Mhm.
now I would say just as many people know me as Batman as an attorney.
And then that's cool. And then you still teach martial arts too?
I do. It gets a little more difficult to teach with my job, but I certainly still
Mhm.
train and substitute
That's
teach when I can.
awesome. And how, you know, so I'm assuming you've probably been a Batman fan for a long time.
Yes, I grew up like many people my age. The
Mhm.
1989 Batman movie was the first one I saw, which, by the way, I'm very honored to be your next interview after Michael Uslan. I listened to that
Oh,
today.
thanks. Yeah, no, yeah, that was kind of good tiding and good timing on my part. I found his university email and messaged him, and then his publicist reached out. So, but really easygoing and nice guy to talk to. I was very surprised and in awe, I guess.
Yeah, he's on my bucket list of people to meet from the Batman world for sure.
Yeah, and it's just interesting how down to earth and supportive he is of like the community as a whole and everything. Um, so from your first introduction, did you, I obviously you became a Batman fan and everything, but did you start reading comics or was there like a journey there or
My journey as a child really began with the movies,
Mhm.
and there hasn't been a bad Batman movie in my opinion. I think Robert Pattinson said that too, that each
Yeah.
Batman film is set out to do what they were supposed to do, and there are plenty of things to like even in the George Clooney Batman and Robin. I think the scenes with Bruce and Alfred and those, you take those out of that movie and they would fit right at home in the Dark Knight, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think yeah, you're right on that. There's good to be taken from all. And then it's kind of funny you mentioned that because that movie literally just came up for me today at work, just happenstance. Well, that one and the Val Kilmer one, just because what started it was a coworker started singing was it that Seal song, Kissed by a Rose, I think.
Yes, that's Batman Forever. Yep.
Yeah. So we launched into both of those just from that. And I'm just like, okay, well, it's kind of funny how someone just starts humming something and your first thought is, oh, okay, Batman Forever. um,
It was supposed to be my wedding song, but I got outvoted by my wife on that. So.
oh, yeah. Which, so, you know, when you dress up as Batman and you go around and like do functions, what do you like doing, in terms of like, being involved with the community?
So at least until I would say up to the coronavirus pandemic, it was really whatever events were going on, I would keep an eye out for that and then reach out to the event organizer and ask, hey, would you like to have Buffalo's Best Batman at your event? It's something I'm interested in. The major thing I became known for in 2015 was helping set up the first Buffalo Bison Superhero Night, which is our minor league baseball team here. And they had me on a billboard in full bat suit, believe it or not.
That had to be kind of surreal.
It was driving down the
Yeah.
throughway and seeing yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Driving past yourself and just, hey, how you doing?
But that again, that was for charity. It was for Mental
Mhm.
Health Association of Erie County, and we raised, I believe, $5,000 for that first year, and then it became a tradition for a couple of years. now Marvel has a deal with minor league baseball, so there's no
Mm,
DC mashup superhero night. It's a Marvel Defenders of the Diamond now.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, the MCU is pretty popular, but that's really awesome though. Like that's, it's admirable in the sense that like, I guess the way I look at it is, you know, here's something you're inspired by, here's something you've gone and done, and and now you're having an impact, in a very, heroic way, in terms of just, doing what you can to help the community and, charity nights like that.
Thank you. So, and like I was saying with the pandemic, I had to change my approach a little bit. I started wearing the Adam West 1960s bat suit. It just seemed like the right one to wear with the world being as dark as it was. I didn't think we needed the Dark Knight walking around. And I really became this grassroots superhero, for lack of a better word, going to food banks and food pantries in the spandex. So it would make people smile. I remember the first event I did, it was at our Broadway market downtown for Easter, handing out Easter baskets. And somebody looked at me and said, I needed that today. I needed to smile.
Nice. That's
When I knew
awesome.
this was going to work during the pandemic, that dressing up still, that people needed that right now.
Yeah. No, that's nice. That's awesome to hear. That's cool. And like, it's interesting too, because I guess it's a nice callback because I think you're right in the sense that, with everything going on with the pandemic, that's the lighter tone might be more of what people need. And it's nice to see like that, Batman, that characterization brought back into the fold again, because it is like it is an enjoyable one. And I feel like with a lot of the grim dark stuff, sometimes we always forget like there are like the lighter elements.
Yeah, there's a quote in the Dark Knight that I always remember. He says, I'm whatever Gotham needs me to be. And I've taken that to heart about which bat suit to wear for a given event. So during the pandemic, it was largely the Adam West suit. And then coming out of that slowly, and then also seeing the level of cosplay, especially in our area, continue to increase and people trying to get better costumes than each other. It became clear that it didn't matter so much in that realm anyway. What I was doing, I did have to look the part a little more. So that
Yeah,
finally led to purchase the more movie quality suits.
nice. Do you have partners or people who team up with you at all sometimes?
I do. Well, it's sort of like the Avengers, like in the Marvel realm. So, or the Justice League too. Batman will kind of jump in and out of that. We have several different cosplay groups in our area. One of them is the Justice League of Western New York. So I will team up with them on occasion. But I realized after maybe 4 or 5 years as Buffalo's best Batman that in itself was my own brand. So
Hmm.
it would be difficult to then jump in with a group. I feel like I would be losing the power of that Buffalo's best Batman for charities that would want that. So I've tried to keep that a separate entity, a separate brand, and that way then they can promote, oh, we have the Justice League of Western New York and Buffalo's best Batman. So they have two different attractions to try to encourage people to show up.
That makes sense. And do you have, any, you don't have to say you do because it's kind of an on the spot question, but do you have any like goals or things you're looking to do, as Buffalo's best Batman?
At this point, it is really just about maintaining whatever legacy that I have built in Western New York.
Hmm.
And also outside of Western New York, I was lucky enough to perform a martial arts demo as Batman in Athens, Greece a couple of years ago.
Wow.
We did a Batman versus Superman demo, my sensei and I. So,
All the way out in Greece.
yes,
How did that come about?
my current karate dojo is it's part of the World Kabuto Federation, and they had a world convention in Athens, Greece. So right after I had joined with that school, people knew I would like to dress up as Batman and had the martial arts background, so it just made sense. Why not try to do a show all
Huh.
the way over in Greece?
Yeah, that's that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. But as far as goals, you became aware of me after DC acknowledged me on Twitter, which was something I had hoped would happen eventually. That's the first time DC's made any, recognition notice of me. That people would joke over the years that, oh, I don't know if I'd call yourself Buffalo's best Batman. DC might not like that. And I thought it's for charity. There's a parody element to the character. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
So for them to finally, give me the nod on social media, and they don't do that for every cosplayer or even any just random posts. I think the last thing that the DC page had liked before me was something that The Rock had posted about Black Adam. So
Yeah, I
for
don't
likes, it was The Rock and then me.
yeah, I don't like I tend to pay attention to like, what they engage with, and I don't really see that too much. That's why it stood out to me. And in this case too, if I remember right, you were in your returns suit with the releases of the 89 comic.
Yes, that was something I wanted to do to for the release of Batman 89. That's when I debuted my return suit. I wanted to go to 6 different comic book shops around the area, one for each issue of the comic book. The comic was only supposed to take about 6 months to release, and it ended up taking a year just due to.
Yeah, yeah, that was we get the advanced previews, so I'm always checking our box, when we can review it. I would look weeks in advance and just, every time it got delayed, it'd be like that big disappointment because that was my start too, was, the Keaton era ones. So, the fact that they made that series, I was very, very happy and excited to, do that.
Oh, for sure, and absolutely I was too. And also, again, with the pandemic, I wanted to do something to help the local businesses in the area. I felt like I was doing a fair amount of work. You can always do more, but I was out there helping, on that grassroots level. But then you kept hearing about businesses needing, people to come back to stores. So what's a better marketing thing than having Batman at your store, especially if you're a comic book shop?
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And that's, I feel like I've seen a couple comic shops in our area try to do different things. One of the comic shops I've seen has started doing his own when they had that year where there was no free comic book day, he did his own like free comic book day and like invited other businesses to participate. And so that it's only been like 2 or 3 times now, but that's kind of spawned into its own little like summer festival. He did it at it was originally May, but he moved it, I think, to like June or July. But I see that a lot with little shops, like especially mom and pop comic shops.
Yeah, and we do that around the area too. We have our own local comic conventions, some of which are tied in with other cosplayers who run the comic convention. So
I take it you still do you read comics a lot or
not as much as I would like, but yes, I
Mhm.
do on occasion. Batman 89 was the last Batman related thing I read. Batman the Imposter I thought was excellent, really showing the
Mhm.
mental issues of being a superhero. I thought that was well done, even though it wasn't directly the Pattinson Batman,
Yeah.
but it could be from that same universe. So I like that.
In terms of films, which one's your favorite?
Batman Returns is still my favorite. That was the first one that I saw in theaters that I was old
Nice.
enough to go to, which I
Nice.
regretted after seeing the Penguin parent at that time. But
Yeah, that's funny. No, that's yeah. Admittedly, that's also my favorite I separate live action and animated just because I feel like the Mask of the Phantasm would be my favorite if I put them together, but Returns would be my favorite live action. So I just love the themes and the ideas that are being played around with there.
right, and it's about half as long as the live action Batman movies, and it may be the best one as a exploration of Batman the character that the live action one still haven't done yet.
Yeah. I was really excited when they announced Keaton was coming back, but the more we get removed from the Batgirl news, the more it seems like that's going to be in a much more truncated version. All the rumors coming out, every week that they're, supposedly even reshooting scenes with Ben Affleck now, but that's still a hard rumor. I haven't seen that confirmed yet, but um, kind of disappointing because I was kind of hoping we'd see more of Keaton back when they made that news. I was like, at first I was surprised and it was like, yes, I don't care if he's like 70.
Yeah, and I don't want to spoil if people haven't read what the plan was for Keaton, but I certainly was very excited about that. And that was about the time that I had purchased my return suit. And then I didn't wear it for a good year and a half because I wanted there to be the right event for it. And that Batman '89 comic was supposed to tie into, bringing Michael Keaton's Batman back into the zeitgeist. And with the delays for that movie,
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that Ezra Miller happened today before our recording that he's going to be getting some mental health treatment. So I was happy to hear that. And selfishly, I'm hoping that means the movie is going to come out too.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I did not hear that yet. I've kind of been in a bubble today, but that is good to hear. I'm glad that that's happening because yeah, it feels like almost every day for a while there was like something new that was just like building and building, and you're just like, guys, what's happening here?
Yeah, and for the Keaton generation, hearing that he was going to be coming back, and then you shelve a movie that has him in it.
Yeah.
As the Joker says, that wasn't easy to get over. And don't think that I didn't try.
Yeah, right. And I honestly like even more so than that, I think the thing I was like obviously like I'm curious to see what they would have done with Batgirl, like the character that seemed interesting, but the fact that Brendan Fraser was playing a Batman villain was like a huge, like deal, I feel like for a lot of people where it was just like, I don't think we've seen this before, you know, we kind of want to see it.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with Firefly, candidly, but then when I played Arkham Knight and that character pops up in it, I thought, okay, I could see Brendan Fraser kind of
Yeah.
flying around, which I'm here for it. So,
So do you have any events coming up or anything planned in the near future for Buffalo's Best Batman?
at this time, I don't. And it's ironic. It seems like when I get these larger interviews, it's when I don't have something to plug. So
Yeah.
it's usually after I've done a big event, and then I'll get an interview request. Oh, what's coming up next? At this moment, nothing. I'm enjoying the summer.
Yeah.
I was very pleased and honored to get your request for an interview after DC promoted me.
Yeah, well, it's just, like I said, I thought it was really cool, that like like that you were doing this and that it seemed like it was on my end, like me being in this bubble outside of it, seeing that it was getting all this attention, obviously from DC, but like that you'd been doing it for so long, that like it was this is something that you've been dedicated to that seems to have been growing, and so thought that was really admirable and cool. And you know something I kind of want to do with our podcasts is we're going to try to interview like creators and like you heard like Michael Uslan interview. We have another author interview that probably at the time this goes live will have gone live, but interviewing fans and showcasing what they're doing with their like love and appreciation of the character, and ultimately towards the goal of trying to improve either our community or the planet we're living on or whatever they're doing, just using that character as inspiration. So I just thought that was really neat.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And talk about improving the community. That would be a goal of mine as I continue on my Batman journey here. I don't know if it means I'm going to have a Robin join up with me, but I would like to encourage other cosplayers to do charity work, whether it's in Buffalo or outside of it. We have a fantastic community for that here already. And I had people come up to me at the last comic convention I was at who were charity cosplayers and say, you're the reason I'm doing this, trying to live up to the standard you've set. And it's very touching to hear. It's something I don't really think about, but
Yeah.
it hit me that day because there were a couple that came up to me. It wasn't just one person. And I thought, okay, people have been paying attention to me. I just need to be aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah. At home, do you have a cave where you store the suits? Like, I mean, I feel like that's a lot to store and like take care of.
Not at the moment. I'm working on getting a bat cave set up. I've never been someone that has wanted to have the full mannequins, as cool as that would be, but
Yeah.
I try to be a little modest, even though I call myself Buffalo's best Batman, but
Yeah.
I don't want people walking in and seeing, the line of bat suits is the first thing they see.
I'm sure that probably wouldn't help at home if they were all over the place too.
No, I do have plaques that I have hanging up from the different awards that I've won and newspaper articles. Those I just feel are important, especially if I'm lucky enough to have kids in a couple years to
Yeah.
show them, here's what I did. I didn't just run around in spandex, like there was a reason for it, and
Yeah.
people noticed and appreciated it.
Well, that's cool. One thing I like to ask of people sometimes, because and you mentioned you've done the interview circuit, or have done a few interviews at least. Um, is there a question you have been dying to have been asked, but no one's asked you yet? And if so, what's the answer to that question, as well as the question?
That's a good question. I'll tell you the question that I am always asked is, why Batman? What makes Batman so enduring? That one I get asked at every single interview. Question I have not been asked at an interview would be, when do you plan on stopping? Like, what is the limit? What's the end game with this? I've had family members ask me when are you going to stop, but I've never had an interviewer ask me.
I think to your first question about why Batman, I feel like us being a Batman site, I feel like we all probably have, you know, our reasons or, things that happen to us or inspirations we took from us that keep us going. And you could hop in if you want and correct me if I'm wrong there. I'm just assuming that's probably, you know, similar to the community at large. But the when do you stop? I feel like you probably could go, do like a Frank Miller thing, we're in your 50s or 60s, just change the suit again, maybe get an armored suit.
Yeah, and that kind of ties in with why Batman has been so enduring, because that character has changed with the times. And I actually wrote my college thesis about that, superheroes in America. You can look at the decades and see what character was popular at the time, like in the 80s with Frank Miller reinventing Batman. But I did actually, quote unquote, retire at the end of 2015. I thought after doing some big events, that was going to be it for me as far as dressing up, that I would just be mentoring other people, like I was talking about. And interestingly enough, I started getting requests for events because the real Batman wasn't showing up. The people were wondering where I was. They just
Huh.
recognized my costume, and I had parents telling me their kids were upset because we know Batman's not here. So I came out of retirement, and I don't think I am ever going to do that again officially. I feel like to come out and say, I'm not going to dress up like Batman anymore, it is going to disappoint a lot of people. It would be better, in my opinion. And again, ask me this in a year, I might have changed my mind, but I might become less active as far as planning events and being more reactive, so to speak. So if people reach out to me, then I would show up at events versus me actively planning some. Like I do plan the superhero food drive every year that I started. So I have every intention of that continuing, but might be nice as the years go on just to wait for the bat signal to light up. And then, if that becomes less and less, then okay. But it isn't me going out there saying, I'm not going to show up anymore. So tough.
Yeah.
That's-
Sounds like a plan. And then with people recognizing you as the real, Batman, you're probably honor bound a little bit.
yeah, it's like, how do you say no to
Yeah.
contacting you saying, God forbid, a child who's very sick and wants to meet Batman? You're not going to say no to that if you can. So
Uh, are there ever any other characters you've entertained dressing up as, or is it all Batman all the time?
for me in Buffalo, for the past 8 years, it's been all Batman all the time. I'll admit, with Marvel being the much bigger, successful cosplay entity, at least right now, I've thought about it. I do think I'd probably have to be a villain because we've seen Keaton and now Bale both been in the MCU as villains, so I feel like they've set a standard there, or at least Marvel is enjoying putting Batman as villains in their movies. So,
Yeah, you're right. There's a precedent. I still haven't seen the new Thor, but there
and
is a
that
precedent now.
so there's that from years ago, but
Yeah. The,
but
the, the,
certainly the past few years it's been, if you're Batman in DC, you're a villain in Marvel.
yeah. To be fair, Ben Affleck was Daredevil first, though, so maybe that's a pass. Plus, they disavowed that movie.
I was hoping he would show up in No Way Home, but no look.
Just have a bunch of Daredevils now. Just bring them all in.
Multiverse of madness.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Bring Jen.
become a fun thing to do at conventions. I did it too at my last one. There were two other people dressed as Batman, and we did the Spider-Man finger point
Oh, nice.
way home. So
That's cool. You'll have to send me a picture if you have one. I'd like to see that. That'd be cool.
sure.
But other than that, do you have any parting words for, anybody listening who's thinking about doing it, or, you know, people who kind of teeter the edge of wanting to do cosplay but not really, sure on how to get started or what to do, or,
Yeah, we didn't really talk about it much, but I did write a book in 2019 called The Ballad of Buffalo's Best Batman, and that details my first 5 years of charity cosplay. So that's kind of a how-to for getting into the cosplay arena there, and how to go about doing it properly, and the highs and lows of that too. It's not an easy path for by any means, but for people interested in doing it, I would say try it. Don't be discouraged by anyone just because it might seem too geeky to a friend of yours or a family member. It's what you want to get out of it. So if you want to go to conventions and dress up and have several different costume changes at one convention, go for it. That's your leisure time. You can do what you want there. If you're looking to do it for charity, there's some rules you probably should follow. One of them being, there's a certain way to conduct yourself at these events. You have to remember that the goal is to promote the charity. It's not about just promoting yourself. So you should always make sure the focus is on the group that you're trying to promote there, what the cause is. As far as picking a character, it's entirely up to you. Anyone can cosplay. I know that's been said so much over the past few years in the community. People of all shapes and sizes can be any character you want to be. Don't be discouraged if people try to knock you down. It's, again, what you want to put into it. So just like this, Batman Begins, the quote, they can't stop you, you can become something else entirely. So as far as me, I really did devote myself to one character after winning the Buffalo's Best Batman title. I did feel a responsibility for that, especially if I was going to keep using it. And yeah, if you're trying to become a character in your area, I think you need to keep it special. I've tried to pattern myself after The Undertaker from WWE, where he didn't show up at every single wrestling event, special occasions. So you're not going to see me every single week dressed up. That's never been me. Part of that's also just because of my job, it's difficult to come out during the week. But I'm an attorney by day, so but also you keep it special. So then when there is an event, oh, Buffalo's Best Batman is showing up. But again, if you have the time and can go every day, that's great. We need more people like that, that anytime they're asked, they can go to an event. So that's probably more of an answer than you were looking for, but that's
No,
just
that's perfect.
thoughts
That's
about it.
yeah, no, that's perfect because I know, I know people who like I know a couple people who do a little bit of it in their free time, and it's they do some charity work and it's really cool. And other people I know who like they think about it, but they never, take the plunge for whatever reason. I think it's just, it's probably part of the commitment, but also, you're like, well, am I crazy here? But I don't think so. I think it's cool. And that's, as evident by the fact that you're our guest on this episode of the Batman universe. So
Right. It's what you want it to be. So if you're someone that wants to go to convention dressed up, do it. Great. If you want to become your area's Spider-Man, then research the character, go back to the comics, the movies, and think to yourself when you're at the event, is this something Spider-Man would do? That is something that bugs me a little bit if a character's at an event and maybe they're doing something that Spider-Man wouldn't be doing for not sure what, well, like having a beer, for example, around children. That's something,
yeah.
when you're dressed up as a character who doesn't drink and is supposed to be the role model, something like that, don't do it.
Only Batman specials from here on out. Anybody listening to this doesn't know what that is, it is in the first episode of the 60s TV show, the pilot, actually.
Yeah,
Well,
I've ever seen a Spider-Man drink, just using it as
yeah,
like so.
yeah. Um, Will, I want to thank you for coming on to our podcast and, devoting some of your time. I know you're busy, so it was great having you. It was great talking to you a little bit about it. Um, you know, I know I'm following you now, as of a few months ago, so I'm going to be watching, what Buffalo's Best Batman is up to, when you have events going on. And I hope other people will too. And yeah, I just want to thank you for coming on and joining us.
Thank you for having me, Scott. It was a pleasure, and thank you to everyone out in the Batman universe that decided to tune in. And I hope we all are celebrating in a year when the Flash comes out.
Yeah, for sure. All right, everybody. Have a good night or good day, I should say. Actually, I'm just gonna edit that part out. Um, but this has been the Batman universe, and this is Scott and Will signing out.